Joshimath, where demolitions are about to begin any moment now, and this, of course, coming after talks with residents and owners in the area. As you can see, that JCB, that large earth mover, has already sprung into action, and it's removing what appears to be a large genset from a building before it gets ready to tear it down. This action coming hours after the Uttarakhand Chief Minister's visit to Joshimath, after cracks appeared in 25% of buildings.
ऊपर तो फिर भी तोड़ना आसान होगा, ऊपर मुश्किल आ जाएगी, लेकिन नीचे से निकालना होगा तो उनको मैनुअली काम करना होगा। अगर इसको वजन कम करना है, क्योंकि ये इंक्लाइन हो रहा है, तो जब ऊपर का ये मलबा हट जाता है तो नीचे काम आसान हो जाएगा। अब देखिए, पहला जनरेटर गया, दूसरा भी हटाया गया, क्रेन यहाँ रखी गई है, पीछे 2 बुलडोजर हैं, और हमें ये बताया गया है कि बुलडोजर का इस्तेमाल उस तरह नहीं होगा कि उसको पुश किया जाए, ऊपर टीम जाएगी मैनुअली। सबसे पहले आप जो कच्चे छप्पर देख रहे हैं उसको हटाया जाएगा, और उसके बाद ये डिसमेंटलिंग प्रोसेस आप इसे कहते हैं, डिमोलिशन की जगह इसे अगर हम कहूँ तो एक तरह का ये डिसमेंटलिंग प्रोसेस है कि जैसे ये स्ट्रक्चर बना था उसे डिसमेंटल किया जाएगा। तो जब पहला हिस्सा हटेगी।
The visuals that you see on screen right now are from Uttarakhand's Joshimath, whereas we have seen a crisis is playing out in the last week and more, with multiple buildings and roads in the hilly town that is gateway to not only pilgrimage centers but also the China border, being affected by cracks. The visuals are of the process of the dismantling of 2 hotels in Joshimath starting up. The hotels will be dismantled in a week's time. It's important for us to also reflect why this dismantling or this taking down of the hotels is happening. These are 2 hotels that are dangerously tilting towards each other and are not only making their own buildings unsafe but are also making the area around them unsafe. A process for dismantling these hotels has started or could have started 2 or 3 days ago. But there was a lot of opposition for locals, not because they felt that they did not want an unsafe thing to be brought down, but because they felt that, they needed adequate compensation and reassurance from the Uttarakhand administration that, the disaster that's playing out in Uttarakhand, in the state, will somehow be arrested. The Uttarakhand Chief Minister was here earlier today and yesterday, and he held extensive dialogues with not only officials but also the local population in Joshimath. And finally, now you have the demolition of these hotels, or maybe we can call it the dismantling of hotels happening. Again, to point out that the shots that you see on your screens right now, we have 2 windows. So in one of the windows, you see shots from a little earlier, when the cranes or whatever they are, those big machines, were actually moving in to, get the generators and the other stuff that they could out of the way before the dismantling starts. And the other shots are live visuals that are coming to you or to us from Joshimath, where that process is actually happening. So the first thing that appears to have been brought down is a generator set that probably would have been on the terrace of the hotel. Why these visuals are very, very important for us to reflect on? Because they tell us a story of a town that is under siege. It's not just one area, one hotel, 2 hotels, not just 10 homes, 15 homes. It's just an entire town. And imagine, the kind of trouble and anxiety that the people of that town must be going through. Because you've had a situation where, by the admission of the Uttarakhand Chief Minister himself, 25%, that is 1/4 of the homes in this hill town, which like I said earlier, is the gateway to Badrinath, which is a holy site, which is the gateway to Mana, which is a village near the China border. Those many homes are affected in Joshimath. And that is why this demolition is very important. I think it's important for us to just reflect on these visuals a little more. So all of this started about 1 or 2 weeks ago, Ankita, when you had these reports coming through of these cracks. And then things have moved fast. The administration has tried to do this. And that is why you perhaps see these visuals, where the first of the unsafe buildings are now being taken down.
Right. Alok, one has to feel for residents of Joshimath. These visuals would appear to be so distressing to them. And yet they're in this situation where if something doesn't happen and happen immediately, the future could possibly be really bleak. The 2 hotels that are being brought down as we speak, or about to be brought down as we speak, were very much in the frame there. But we're also hearing, Alok, that India has relocated some troops from areas surrounding Joshimath, which is actually quite near the line of actual control with China. And that's what the army chief has said, obviously not giving away too many operational details. But how, what is the significance of this, and how is this expected to play out?
See, it is a worry. Of course, the army is prepared and they have said that this is not going to affect their readiness, Ankita. But nevertheless, like we've discussed so many times in the past also, a major highway to Mana or to the line of actual control, as you said, passes through Joshimath. And you also have a very large army camp in Joshimath. So both of them are affected in the sense that the army chief confirmed on record that 25, at least, some of their establishments or buildings have been affected. There are minor cracks, he's saying, and that certain amount of soldiers have been relocated to Auli, which is another town or another. It's a fairly popular place, actually, all of us would know about it. And he said that even if there needs to be permanent relocation, that will be done. At the same time, the army chief also said that there will be no problem with readiness, with operational readiness, etc. And that is something that is most reassuring. But at the same time, again, like we said, this is again something that is very worrying, given the kind of situation that's playing out. In fact, the visual that we see on our screen right now is of one of the hotels, which is Hotel Malari Inn. And you see so many people there, those are probably the workers that will be involved in the actual dismantling of those two hotels. And like you said, and like we reflected on earlier also, it's such a terrible tragedy for the people who are living there because, they have to go through this. The loss of your house or your business establishment is something that takes a lot of time to recover from, right, Ankita?
Yes, indeed. And already there seems to be indications that, we've heard from the Uttarakhand Chief Minister say that only 25% of buildings have cracks in them, and so compensation will only be given to that 25% and so on and so forth. And no doubt that's going to be something, a story that we haven't heard. The last stop, litigations in court as well. The Supreme Court is expected to hear a plea from a local religious leader, which actually seeks to halt construction of a hydroelectric project that residents have been saying has been partially responsible for the sinking. So there are obviously larger issues at play here.
You're absolutely right. You see, the immediate issue may be to take down these hotels or to ensure that the situation doesn't become worse in a town like Joshimath. But I think the larger questions, one that you reflected on, the fact that, how do you ensure that this doesn't happen? Are there cracks, similar worrying cracks that are coming up in other towns? We've had footage coming in from Pannu that points to the fact that there are cracks there, or are those of a similar nature? Is, this breakneck pace of construction in a place like Joshimath, at the end of the day, it's a hill town. Is that responsible? I know that there's been a lot of focus on an NTPC project, which is a government-run electricity company, power company. There's a lot of focus on whether their projects are causing what is happening in Joshimath. They have denied it. They said, boss, hamara koi link nahi, we don't have a link to this. But it needs to be investigated, right? Because, these are fragile places. These are places where the situation can go down pretty quickly, and it already is. I mean, the Chief Minister may say that it's only 25%, but 25% is 1/4 of a particular thing, and that is a lot. So how do we stop this, and how do we ensure that we don't have to do a live on a situation like this, where someone who's built a hotel, perhaps with permissions, perhaps to earn his livelihood, is now going to see that being dismantled, etc. So, I mean, how do we protect Joshimath? How do we protect livelihoods? That's also something that's very important for the government to see. So at the moment, a worrying situation all around.
Yes, indeed. And as you point out, Alok, it isn't just Joshimath, is it? I mean, there's renewed focus on where this sort of surface distortion or subsidence has happened in other areas, and the sort of rampant construction we've seen in various parts of Uttarakhand and indeed other hilly areas. Alok, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment, but let's move on for the moment to the Prime Minister's massive. All right, I believe we also have Saurabh Shukla now joining us from Joshimath, in fact. Saurabh, you're on the ground as these demolitions begin. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, the dismantling of these two hotels has begun at Joshimath. You can see the team of NDRF and STRF. They are on the spot. And Thakur Singh Rana, who is owner of this hotel, has agreed with administration over over an amount of compensation. We don't know how much he has agreed upon, but he has agreed. And as soon as he said yes for dismantling, the teams were ready. They have come in now. That you can see officials and workers of NDRF and state disaster are also there, and the laborers who are going to dismantle these two hotels manually are about to enter, and few of them have already entered. They are using cutters to cut the grills and especially the iron part of it. And apart from that, the other places were around this whole hotel. There are more than 30 houses in the vicinity of these two hotels. They've been evacuated. People have been sent to the relief camp, which is set up by the local administration. So after almost 48 hours, owners of these two hotels have agreed on the dismantling of their hotels. They were not agreeing upon the amount which was offered to them as compensation. But yesterday, CM Pushkar Dhami came to Joshimath. He camped. He held several round of meetings with officials, with scientists, and after that, he has also spoken with Thakur Singh Rana, who is owner of this hotel Malari Inn. And you can we'll show you these visuals. I'll just ask my camera person to zoom in. So the green part, the green portion, you can see that is Mount View Hotel, and the other pink portion, the pink structure is Malari Inn Hotel. So this whole Malari Inn Hotel has tilted after this land subsidence. This hotel has tilted towards Hotel Mount View. So it can fall anytime. That is why administration has decided to dismantle these two buildings, and it will take 7 days for dismantling. And CBRI, officials of CBRI, experts of CBRI, Central Building Research Institute, they're also there. They are monitoring the situation, and they are supervising this whole exercise, which is underway by SDRF and NDRF. The tires are also there to protect other houses and this structure. This is a small hotel right on the left side of Hotel Malari Inn. It has been evacuated. People have asked to leave, and they've been sent to the Nagar Palika camp, which is set up by local administration. And apart from that, the videography is also underway, and it is a sigh of relief for officials in the Joshimath, because these two hotels were in the red zone, and these two hotels are one of the biggest hotels in Joshimath. And if they fell, then they are going to destruct other houses, other structures in and around this whole area, and this is highly densely populated area. So this process of dismantling is underway, and it will take at least 7 days.